Welcome to It's a Grand Life, where our mission is to be a voice for grand families and kinship caregivers everywhere. Did you know that in the United States alone, there are 2.3 million grandparents raising their grandchildren? 2.3 million. It's a Grand Life is committed to making a difference for those kids. That's why we have the podcast, a Facebook group, and the Grand Fund. The Grand Fund, which is a 501c3 which was launched in June of 2024, provides financial assistance to grand families, including shelter, food, clothing, and household needs. Grand families are in every neighborhood, in every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, we're here for you. And we welcome you to join us on this mission. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search for it under It's a Grand Life. And your reviews, comments, and sharing of our podcasts help us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hello. My name is Craig Nash, and we'd like to welcome you to another It's a Grand Life. And we've got an old friend with us here today to give us an update on what is happening in Huntsville, Alabama, and Northern Alabama. And Keith Lowhorne, what has been going on with grandparents as parents? You guys are so busy. You're updating all these things on social media. You got radio stations following you left and right. And now you want to get 400 or 500 Christmas gifts or something going on. So tell us what's happening.
It's growing. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of grandparents out there that are raising their grandchildren, and being a new organization, people are just now learning who we are. And so we're having a lot of people reach out to us, which is a good thing that we can help as many people as we possibly can. It's just amazing. The relationship that we have with the radio station it's just blossomed. Last week, we were named the beneficiary for the Huntsville Christmas Parade, which they sponsor along with the city. So between now and Christmas, there'll be several sponsored events. There'll be several just meet and greet events. There'll be several things where we go for radio, telethon type things. And then we'll benefit from all those, which is just absolutely marvelous.
Fantastic.
And so with that, we were hoping, we were actually wishing that we could do 400 kids, which we didn't think was going to be a problem. But I told Edie the other night after we came home from the radio announcement, I was like, honey, I think we need to prepare for 500. And she looked at me and she hit me. Number one, she hit me and said, we can't do that. And I said, hun, we've done a whole lot with that. So, we just have to go along with whatever happens. So I think it's going to be more than 400. And we'll see where it goes. We're getting calls left and right. My wife actually released the form out to several grandparents that were part of it last year, and she's already got several dozen back already. So,
wow.
So we're rocking and rolling already.
That's so fascinating, because I know when you became a grand family, I'm sure the last thing on your mind was that you were going to have a food distribution program, a clothing distribution program, a Christmas gift program for everybody, and now partnering with radio stations. It's just really exploded, hasn't it?
It really has. We never imagined it. We were just hoping to help people get some food and clothing and school supplies during the pandemic that turned into, let's do some Christmas for them. And now it's just grown. I mean, trust me, it's not us. We couldn't be doing it on our own. It's a much higher power than us. And we're just here for the ride, really, I think. And it's taken us places that we never imagined us going. And so instead of traveling to Europe like we had planned on doing and just travel around this wonderful country of ours, we travel to schools, we travel to PTAs, we travel to things with the radio station, we travel to events that we're trying to plan and raise some money for this organization. And so that's the journey we're on now, and we've accepted it. At first I was really hesitant. I was kind of upset. When you first get into this journey, you're really, it's like not what you expected.
Right.
We expected our retirement years to be easy. We expected our retirement years to be fun and time for us just to, be man and wife again, just those things that we don't have kids in the house. And so, we got kids very quickly right after I retired. And so this is the journey we're on. We've accepted it, and we just move forward.
You have no other choice, really.
Yes.
We would do anything for our grandkids, and that other focused love when we're on those calls with our friends from Generations United, and we've got 86 grand voices across the country. Everybody has the same heart for their grandkids and for other grandkids, for that matter. If you
Absolutely.
just loved your grandkids, it'd be just two kids.
Wow.
But you've got feeding over 100 a week in front of your house. I mean, that takes a real type of love. That's other centered and other focused, and that's just amazing.
It's just an extended family to us. We've all got to know each other. We know when birthdays are. We know when there's ailments. We know when there's problems, that may have come up with, whether they're trying to adopt or whether there's a court hearing or something. So, it's the parents that, we've we just grown up together with them. There's some of them are a lot younger than us, and some of them are older than us
Right.
at being grandparents. So it's not an age thing. I think it's just that we bond and we have one thing in common, and that's a love for our grandchildren. And that's what I think keeps us going. When I get up in the morning and Harper runs into this office that I'm working from, and she hugs me and she says, "Good morning," and gives me the biggest hug and the biggest kiss. And I just, I melt. I'm like, "That's my day. There's my day. I'm whatever I need to do from this on, I'm going, so
That's so
so
good.
that's just what we do. Yeah.
But we're in a country that's very divided. And whether we're afraid the Democrats are going to take over, we're afraid the Republicans are going to take over. What color are you? What
Mhm.
nationality? Blah blah blah. But in the grand voice community, in the kidship caregiving arena, in the grandparents as parents arena, we don't have any of that.
No, we don't know any, nothing, that doesn't matter at all to us. We don't,
No.
and to them either. I have not yet. We become so close friends with these folks that we kid with them, we joke with them. They call us when they need help. We call them if we need help. It's just we're a community, and we're a community that's bonded together by these children. And it don't nobody's. I have never heard someone say anything about color or race or whether they're a politician. Nobody talks about that stuff really. We're here to let's pick up some food for the grandkids. Let's help this woman who doesn't have anybody with her. Let's help her load her groceries too. And you'd be surprised the number of guys and teenagers that are here that just start loading up for someone that may not be able to, or
Mhm.
maybe older or may have a handicap. And these people just jump in. They don't ask questions. It's like, what can I do to help you? And let's go. You pick it out and I'll carry it. And that's pretty good. So I think in the world we live, I don't think that prejudice even exists.
No, and that's why I may be pretty naive at this, but I think the grandparents who are raising their grandkids could really bring healing to this country, because
Absolutely.
and because we are colorblind when we get in this arena, and I can
Right.
relate to anybody in this situation, and they can relate to me in this situation, and we know that it is not an easy road, and we have
Oh,
compassion and empathy on one another, and if we could do that across this country, it would be so awesome, because we have more in common than we have differences. And
yeah.
don't you think
I
it's
think I think not only do grandparents do that, I think all parents really have a lot of things in common. They just don't want to bond with other people.
right, right,
As grandparents, we have to bond because we can't do it all on our own. We can't. We're not, whether it's because of age or whether it's because of a disability or whether that may be that you just can't do it on your own. So you have to have help. And I think that's the first hurdle that we have to get over is, there's a lot of grandparents out there that are still shy, don't want to talk about it, don't want to accept the fact that they're raising these grandchildren, and they just do it under the radar. Man, there is nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. It was not you that raised your children. You raised the children best way that you could and possible
right,
that you could, and they made a decision. And that decision may have turned out bad. It may have turned out deadly. It may have turned out that they're just gone.
right.
Whatever the case may be. And you can't you can have guilt for a little while, but after a while, you got to just kick that to the curb and say, "Hey, these children are the most important thing that I'm doing right now."
Absolutely. And you're making just a huge impact, not only for your immediate family, but for all the families you guys are supporting there in Huntsville. And And what do you see as the future opportunity for grandparents as parents? I mean, will it be just Huntsville, or could you expand outside where you are?
Well, I think we really go from the Mississippi line to the Georgia line, and then about a third of the state. So we have a large contingency of counties in our area that we service. Huntsville and Madison County, and the surrounding counties of our where we live are the ones that more focus because it's easier for grandparents to get to us, and so the next phase is for us to get to them.
Right.
We're we are, I guess we're kind of try to plan a little bit out as we go. It's money is always the key. Real estate is super expensive here,
Right.
as sure as like anywhere, and the landlords don't want to give a cut for anything, even for a nonprofit. So it's a hurdle that we're going to have to face somehow, but we have to face it soon because we can't continue to do it at this growth out of our house.
Right.
So we know we're going to have to do something, and we're just, you pray about it and you just hope, and you have faith.
So you guys are, I think you were telling me you were feeding 100 and 120 families a week.
Yeah, about that. That's about.
And how do the neighbors take that?
Oh, the neighbors now take it very well. In fact, some of them come over and help us.
Okay.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
Because we need all the help we can get, especially muscles.
Right.
And so that's always good. At first, it was a little hurdle that we had to go over because we live in an HOA neighborhood.
Yep.
And so we had cars lined up down the neighborhood. About probably a quarter of a mile. And because we didn't have a good efficient way of doing it when we first started. We were just like, oh, just come get food, and all of a sudden there's this line. So our neighbors complained about the cars lined up in the driveway, and what were they doing, and how come they're there, and they're there every week, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. So the HOA president came out and talked to me. We said, well, let's. I can't do it tonight, but I'll come and talk to you tomorrow. And so I went and talked to him, and he says, hey, don't worry about what you're doing. He says, I was raised by my grandparents after my parents put me in a dryer. And
wow.
And my grandparents found me in the dryer. And so from that point on, the grandparents took him out of that house and raised him. He never saw us. He hasn't seen his parents since. So he understands. I've had no problem since. It's like, during the HOA meetings, sometimes they'll talk about us. They'll. So it's just, it's something that, I wish we didn't have to do it out of the house, but right now it is, and we're helping a whole lot of people, and it is what it is.
Well, Lord willing, hopefully you'll get a building centrally located that'll have all the. The dock, I guess the little storage areas and the area to line up all your food and what have you, and make it real easy for you guys. But you got to crawl before you walk, right? And that's
Absolutely.
So Keith Lowhorne, tell me a little bit about the training and support you've had with Generations United. You've been with them a long time. And I know you love the work that they do, and they really helped you gain an understanding, I would imagine, about kinship care and
absolutely everything I know. I have really learned from GU. They are tremendous. Their staff is tremendous. Their trainings are tremendous. It's one of those things you can count on. If you can't find the answer, you can ask, and they'll give you an answer. And I think that there's some friendships that have been born through this. At first it was online, and then last year they did their first in person meeting in Washington. That they did a conference, and I went to it, and it was like the grand voices that had seen each other through the computer screen for 3 years or whatever it was, and all of a sudden it was just like we just came together. We knew each other's name, we knew each other's stories, and it was like we were just hugging, and we were like best of friends, and it was actually the first time we had ever actually touched each other, and it was amazing. I mean, it was a week of just learning and talking to these people who are such experts in each one of their fields, and I can't think highly enough of them. They're just, to me, they're perfect. They're just they're perfect organization.
Yep, and they're really making a difference, right? So
Oh, absolutely.
so if we had folks listening to our podcast right now that aren't familiar with Generations United, or the fact that they do have a conference coming up this upcoming June in Louisville, you'd
Mm.
recommend they check that out.
Oh, absolutely. If you can get to Louisville, you need to go because you will learn.
Yep.
You will learn. You will learn things that you never thought about. You will learn things of just, oh, it's tremendous. I mean, it's like a revival. When you start thinking of that, it's like a revival every day, and it's tremendous. It is so tremendous, and you just meet so many wonderful people. You learn about other programs throughout the country. You get to talk to the staff. You get to talk to the CEO. You get to talk to their board members. It's just an amazing time. It really is.
So Keith, you've been following this program for many years, right? And taking care of your grands.
Mhm.
When did you guys decide we need to grow this thing? We need to start looking beyond our two grandkids that we're raising, and we need to really look at how can we start feeding 120 folks a week here because there's such a need, and we need to look at clothing drives, and we need to look at Christmas gifts for these kids, and then when did you attract the attention of the media in Huntsville?
Well, I think it was we didn't really anticipate any of that. We just knew that we were going to try to help grandparents in whatever way we could, and we reached out and tried to make some relationships with folks and some organizations, and they, no matter where you go or who you talk to, they're just like amazed when you start showing them figures of the number of grandparents that are raising their grandchildren. So I think the figures speak for themselves. It's just that nobody really understands until recently. And I think that our growth has come is nothing that we wanted. We were, out of it'd been much easier just to keep it low and slow, but now it's fast and furious. So it's I don't know. It's just one of those things that it's like I've said so many times. It's not us. I mean, it can't be us. I mean,
Right.
this is like a full-time job. This is a 50 or 60 hour a week job that we're doing, and
Gotta
it
be.
is the it is the hardest work I have ever done. Even though most of it is just here and sitting in front of a computer or talking on the screen or talking on the phone or emails or things like that. It's still tough. I mean, 67, soon to be 68 years old. I ain't no spring chicken. So it's just, but we're just doing it. We're just going with it. We just go where we think we need to go, and then we figure it out. So much of this stuff we've done from the backside, but instead of going to the front, with
Right.
the radio station came to us. We didn't even know about it. So, you would think you would get an organization started and then reach out to the media. Well, the media reached out to us,
Amazing.
and so that really has helped us grow tremendously because of the commercials and because of the airtime that we get from them, and it's just ballooned. I mean, it really has. And the funny thing about it is, the radio station is owned by a lady who's raising her grandchildren, and most of her employees did not know that until we started this.
Wow.
She kept it under the. Yep. Yep.
And once you have that connection, as you know, once you're connected with someone who's raising their grandkid or was raised by, like your HOA director, who was
Yeah.
raised by a grandma, it is a game changer. I mean, you don't have to
Oh,
explain
yeah.
a thing. They totally get it, and they have such respect for what you're doing. And that's so. If you were going to talk to folks that were just starting to look at how can I help my neighbors who are raising their grandkids, how would you tell them to get started?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing is don't be afraid to admit that you're raising your grandchildren. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. Hey, it's life. And what you're doing for these children is far more important than anything else you could be doing. So don't hide. Get out and play with them, smile, be happy. Give them a good life as much as you can. Join some kind of community resource. Try to start a community agent that you can get together at a church, and the church may be helpful in doing a daycare for you, and the adults can sit and talk, because we all have this one thing in common. Now, our stories may be a little bit different. For the most part, they're all about the same, and drugs are the main factor that we all doing what we're doing. But everybody thinks they're in this unique position until they hear that, well, the vast majority of us are because of one reason, and that's drugs. So I think that's the best thing. Just get involved. just reach out and try to help. Look for your area aging agency
Yep.
and look at them and see what they can do. Look up and see where the money is going for the opioid settlements in all the states.
Yes.
That's very important. That is super important because it's a bureaucracy that's getting it. And so, you just sometimes have to convince these people that, hey, there's a bunch of grandparents in our state that needs help. Let's give it to some of that. Let's give some of that money to them
100%.
instead of giving it to other agencies that might be dealing with things that aren't successful and have not proven to be successful
Right.
for decades. So let's
Right.
try a new route, and let's try to help these kids who are the kids, these grandchildren we're raising are the real victims of the opioid problems in this country.
And the fentanyl, right?
Oh yeah, it's all I call it all opioids. It's
Yep,
all it's you can list them, but I guess in a roundabout way, if you said it was opioids, and let me tell you, in the last couple of weeks in our area here, I probably had 10, 12 grandparents reach out to me that their son or daughter has either OD'd,
wow,
birthed the baby in the hospital, and they didn't know that they were pregnant, died from an overdose, got arrested. There must have been a bad, I don't know what they call it, bad batch of fentanyl and
Yep.
opioids floating around North Alabama because there were a whole lot of actions for grandparents in the last couple of weeks.
That's just absolutely amazing. And it's
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
the statistics that GU put out last year? 26% of kids are a victim of parents with substance abuse. So 1 out of 4 that are that grandparents are raising. So that's just amazing to me that drugs is so prevalent. Yes, we know it's prevalent, but this whole fentanyl business and this opiate business it just makes no sense why you would put fentanyl in the drugs you're selling. You're talking about killing your customers.
You're killing your customer. That's right.
It makes absolutely no sense. So, but
It does.
look, so you said, don't be afraid. You're doing the most important work. And, sometimes we do get, like this past week, I was interviewed by CBS in Detroit, and there was a part of me that when I saw a lot of old friends responding and saying very nice things, but there's a prideful part, or where it's of me that's like, oh man, I wish we didn't have to, get so, share all this with everybody, but that's the only way that it can really be used is if you're transparent about it. And that went away shortly thereafter. But it's when you see the smile on your grand's face, or you see the smile on 120 grands that you're feeding every week. I mean, that's what a huge difference that makes. And
it is. It's a great feeling. It's a wonderful feeling to know that you're playing a small part in giving a little help to these grandparents who need the help. Grand families need help. Somebody in this world, politicians from either the state, the city, the nation, they need to realize that there's a whole lot of grandparents that are in this and they're getting zero help.
right.
And that's the one thing that really, really upsets me more than anything is we give so much money to so many different programs. Let's look at some of the programs that don't get any help but could use the help wisely. There's probably not a grandparent out there who's raising their children that wouldn't go, yes, I need help. I need help. And it's just, it's amazing that the leadership of this country has not buckled down to say, hey, we need to do something.
And you're talking from a bipartisan perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's hands are clean in this.
I don't care. No, it's just been going on for years. We could go back years. We can start from a whole lot. Probably when I was a young kid, or maybe before that.
Yeah, and I was on a call with a bunch of grandparents like myself the other day, raising their grandkids, and one of the couples said, we were just so excited. We got $100 gift card last week. It was just a game changer for them. And I said, we've got to help these folks. $100 can't be a game changer. With the current cost of everything, what is that? A tank of gas? I don't know. I mean, it's just, and yet they're raising 1 to 3 different grandkids that they didn't count on. So,
Sure.
well, Keith, we just really appreciate you being our guest here, and It's a Grand Life again. And I'm so glad we could kind of recap. Last time we had some technical issues. I love the visual we had of NASA there. That was really cool. You're in front of that spacecraft. Unfortunately, the sound didn't work, but you're just doing a phenomenal work, and just want to encourage you to keep at it and come back again and tell our listeners how far you've gone and what would kind of streamline it for them. So thanks so much for being our guest on It's a Grand Life.
Well, we appreciate everything you're doing up there in your part of the woods. So thank you for helping those grand families.
Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the grand life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.